All right, so here we are with video number 2 for our catechism class. Video number 2. So, were you able to memorize numbers 57 and 58? Because no one recited anything to me. I'm not sure if Corey and Ben had any recitations to them on Sunday, but hopefully you were able to give some time memorizing those two questions. So remember that 57 was the fourth commandment that came out of Exodus. 58 was what does the fourth commandment require? And it says to that God has established a day, one out of seven, that's a Sabbath to him. And so are your Sundays different? That's what this is getting us to think about. Are your Sundays different? Now, today there are two more questions on the Sabbath day. And actually, these are going to continue for a little bit. So, 59 and 60. Do you know that the people of God in the Old Testament used to have a Sabbath on a different day? They didn't get together on Sundays. They got together for worship on Saturdays and they rested for a Sabbath on Saturdays. So, when do we keep the Sabbath? We keep the Sabbath on the first day of the week. And so, question 59 of the Catechism tells us why we keep a Sabbath on Sunday instead of Saturday. And so, here's the question. Why do which day of the week has God designated as the Sabbath? And here's the answer. From the beginning of the world until the resurrection of Christ, God established the seventh day of the week as the Sabbath. And the seventh day of the week is Saturday. From that time until the end of the world, the first day of the week is the Christian Sabbath. And the first day of the week is Sunday. Don't be confused. Monday is not the first day of the week, Sunday is the first day of the week. So, what this question is saying is that from the beginning of the world until the resurrection of Jesus, that's the important point. Beginning of the world till the resurrection of Jesus, the seventh day, Saturday, was the Sabbath. And then when Jesus rose from the dead, from that point on, the Sabbath is Sunday. Now, why is that? Why did that change occur? Well, think about the resurrection of Jesus from the dead. It's huge. It's the what the Old Testament people were waiting for, right? And this overcoming of the bondage of sin. And so in Jesus we're set free because he triumphed over death and he did so when he rose from the dead. And so that is so significant in God's history of working with mankind that the day on which we worship, the day on which we are required to worship changed. Okay? And so, excuse me, I'm getting a call. I'll decline that. Okay, so why again are there other reasons why the day changed from Saturday to Sunday? Well, first of all, Jesus rose from the dead. That's all we really need. Two, the first day of the week in Revelation chapter 1 verse 10 is called the Lord's Day. 1 Corinthians 16:12 also calls the day the Lord's Day. And so this day, this Sunday, this first day of the week, has been called the Lord's Day, and that is significant because it designates it as the day which is His, and so we are to give ourselves to the things that He requires on that day. There's also this: when did the Holy Spirit get poured out upon the church? We read about that in Acts chapter 2. It's called Pentecost, and that happened on the first day of the week, on Sunday. And so that's why the day has changed, right? That's why the one day out of seven that's required in the commandment has changed from Saturday to Sunday. Old Testament believers looked forward, so they worked 6 days and they rested on the seventh, which meant that they were resting on the seventh day, looking forward to the work to come. New Testament believers look back on the resurrection, and so they rest on the first day of the week, work 6, and so in a sense they're looking back on the finished work of Jesus. So, wonderful thing that we have a day to worship God. And a wonderful thing is that every time we get together on Sunday, we're remembering the resurrection, not just on Easter Sunday. Every Sunday we get together, we're remembering the resurrection because we're not meeting on Saturday, we're meeting on Sunday, the day that Jesus rose from the dead. Now that's question 59. So question 60 is something we talked about last time, so I'll be really brief. Question 60, how do we keep the Sabbath day? Here's their answer. We keep the Sabbath day, we keep the Sabbath holy by resting the whole day from worldly affairs or recreations, even ones that are lawful on other days, except for necessary works of acts of mercy. We should spend all our time publicly and privately worshiping God. Okay, so the answer to this, how do we keep the Sabbath holy, is we keep the Sabbath holy by resting. And what do we rest from? It says worldly recreations, worldly affairs, and recreations. Worldly affairs, that's work, that's business. That's what you do the 6 other days. You go to work, you make money, you go in, you work in the grocery store, you work for the government, whatever it may be. You do that work. Recreations is things like a baseball league um, or going out to eat, which is that's a way for us to relax and recreate, but it's also causing someone else to work, right? And so recreations, the things we have fun with, the things we relax with, even those we're supposed to consider and we are to give them up. Why? Because of what it says next. Because we're supposed to spend the whole day in worship. The other thing it mentions is one thing that needs explaining. You can, we are to rest, we are to worship, and we're allowed to do works of mercy, which are particular days and not particular days, but particular works that if they weren't done, people would suffer. The electricity needs to stay on. The emergency room at the hospital needs to keep running so that people who are injured or who are sick can go to the hospital and be cared for. And so those works of mercy are not a breaking of the Sabbath. The people who keep the electricity on and keep the firefighters who would put out a fire or the police officers who keep the peace, that is all legitimate work on the Lord's day. Otherwise, we're supposed to rest. All right, so that's our two questions. Try and memorize those. And like I said, recite these. If you've got to memorize, come up to me on Sunday and recite them to me, or come up to Corey or to Ben and recite these answers to them. And it would be really encouraging to us. So keep working, keep memorizing, keep learning this doctrine so you can honor God in your life.